Hey guys, so I just got gone watching the newest episode of RWBY aired today for sponsors, episode 7 of Volume 3. And because of how pivotal and game changing this is for the series as a whole, I couldn't really construct my points into a cohesive review. Therefore, rather than giving you just a strict cohesive review where I go through everything I thought of the episode, I thought I'd do, because there's so much to talk about, I thought I'd do a commentary of the episode. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record myself watching the episode and just giving my opinions of it. That's why I'm wearing earbuds, so you guys don't have to hear the audio of the episode. And so I thought I'd give you that, like, just to show you, so I can like give you a sort of cohesive, opinionated piece on my opinions on this episode without necessarily diving into like in-depth review or analysis or anything. Just I want to go through the episode and give you my opinions as the episode goes on. I've seen the episode. I hope that's clear for you. But if you have not seen the episode, I would go watch it before you watch this, obviously without my commentary, and then go and watch this video. So here I'm going to go into this right now. I'm watching it on roosterteeth.com for sponsors. Right now it's available. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click play in 3, 2, 1. I think there was a commercial at the beginning if I remember correctly. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to see Laser Team. I'll see. I hope I can. I hope it's actually a decent movie though. That would be great. Now we got our opening. The opening of this season, I think each opening gets better than the last in my opinion. It's definitely just such a fantastic opening. I don't know. There's nothing really to commentate over the opening. We've seen it plenty of times this season. That's such a good shot because he's like, "Where do you think you're going?" And it's so awesome. I've actually been meaning to make this photo my wallpaper because it's such an awesome photo. And now after this episode, that's very much more important. So this is obviously Emerald when she's being recruited by Cinder. Meaning that this proves that Emerald was the one with the illusionary powers, and Neo isn't the only one with some illusionary vein in her semblance. So Cinder with short hair looks fucking amazing. Like, she looks so much hotter that way. I want to know what broken childhood Cinder came from. That must be fucking messed up. I guess we're gonna probably find out about it later in the season, or not this season, the show. She's talking about the illusionary powers. This is when she. I loved how this is like a flashback episode and showing how she recruited everyone. I wish she was shown her recruiting Neo. That would have been pretty awesome, but I don't think they included that. What if Neo wasn't recruited? What if Neo was there before she was? So, So I guess Marcus Black, the assassin, must have been his dad, who was abusive based on verbal cues from earlier this season. And what's going on right now? He's covered in bruises. His legs are bloody. They fought. The house is burnt. This is how he's introduced to Mercury. So Emerald at first didn't like Mercury. Now they've obviously grown to like each other. Well, that voice was obviously Roman. They didn't show him being recruited either. Notice how they zoomed in on the lieutenant's face when they said Huntsman that's straight on the righteous path, further proving the Atsuhashi theory, which is very still far fetched a little bit. Now she's trying to recruit Adam, who all you can see right now is Garrett Hunter from Mega 64, because that's who voices him, and it's just that's all I see right now. So it shows that Adam wasn't initially, it was obviously tentative at first. So I guess the associate is Roman. So it shows that Adam still stood by his values before Cinder's involvement. And here's the pivotal scene. Pivotal scene. Oh yeah. So this shows that it was when Blake was still with them. So this is the night before. You can see the tentativeness in her face. This was the night before she left the White Fang to start a new future for herself. So this is like a really awesome flashback perspective. We don't really know what all of this means, but it seems like it's just supposed to like hint us to bridge the gap a little bit between these multiple events. Well, oh yeah, they were searching for the Fall Maiden, so they clearly know about the maidens and are ready to like hunt the maidens. So there's our Fall Maiden in action. We still don't hear her talk, so she doesn't have a voice actress at this point. So based on the kind of work that the Fall Maiden doing, either the maidens have a separate job where they go around helping people, or she is a huntress herself. And obviously, it's one of Emerald's illusion tactics, as you can see from the standing right there. When I first saw the pink, I thought it was Neo for a second, and I realized that's so far fetched, and it wasn't Neo, obviously. So this is really the first time we're seeing the Fall Maiden in action and not in a coma. They revealed her name in the last episode. I just can't quite remember it yet. Once she has more screen time or maybe more discussion, well, maybe I'll be able to memorize it better. So I guess that's a baby Emerald that they're trying to like show to like illusion for her. Oh, so nice. It's not like you're gonna fucking get attacked in a minute. I'm sorry for all the cursing, by the way. I'm just very used to cursing in sort of like show settings. And here we go. And she noticed the steps. And here's where we start one of the best fight scenes in the entire show to date. I say about almost every fight scene, but the fight scenes in the show are so well choreographed and so well animated that it's just this is so intense. Like you could feel the tension from every character. It's just so well designed. And then we prove that it's auto mail. Like I think I don't know if it was necessarily proved before that. I think everyone knew it was he had like pretty much auto mail legs, and they are. So this just shows the first we're seeing some of the maiden powers in action. I have no idea how loud I'm talking because I have earbuds in, so I can't even hear my own voice. And it shows that like they pretty much use any of the seasonal powers as a maiden, as you'll see in a second. Because right now she's doing weather powers, which is not a season-based thing, and Cinder joins the fray. And here we go, she's going to summon leaves, but she's going to turn them into... She's going to, like, freeze one of them with ice. Now she has winter powers, too. So I guess the seasonal maidens can use powers from all of the different seasons. And I guess the flame eyes are, like, seasonal powers. And the soundtrack to the scene is just so perfect, like accompanying it. It's almost like Duel of Fates, but like with rock in the background. So it's like a combination of the two, like this epic big chorus piece and it's like metal. And here we go. So we already know that Cinder has extreme power without the seasonal maiden powers based on just what she's doing. So it must be her semblance is a very powerful semblance. And obviously she's changing archery. A fight scene that would be really cool, and obviously she gets hurt. A fight scene that would be really cool in this show is one that just pans out kind of and doesn't just show specific areas of the attack necessarily, and just shows the entire battle going out without like moving camera perspective. And this shows that the seasonal main is very powerful because even when she's knocked out, she's still able to get back up and fight a little bit. She has a little bit of fight left in her, despite being extremely injured. And you can see she's trying to go after to either escape or finish Emerald. She had brown eyes, so she does not have silver eyes. So the silver eyes theory is almost disproved a little. And there she was shot by Cinder. Ready for the most Legend of Korra Amon bending takeaway scene. So it's clear. So this is where we get the most pivotal scene of the entire episode. She uses the summoning thing from all the openings that we had no idea what it was to summon Grimm, meaning that she has the ability to summon Grimm via that circle. So this means she's probably working with the person that created the Grimm in the first place, creating an extremely game-changing moment in RWBY, and she's obviously using the summoning hole. And here we go. And then obviously Crow, as one of the Guardians, is there to protect her because that's his job. And then she gets tattoos showing that she's a maiden. And she's able to use the maiden's eye powers. Well, about half the maiden's powers. See, it's a little fuzzy. And she's still using those summoning holes. And as I said, this is a game-changing thing because we know there's someone above her now. And we find out in the next scene. Watch. She's clearly in conversation with someone that's above her. You can't hear the other side of the thing, obviously, because that would be too much giving away. But she's obviously talking to someone that's above her ranked. And this proves that Cinder is not the head of this plane, which I bought from episode 1. It was too early to introduce the main villain antagonist of the series. Obviously, there's someone much higher up than her. So this is right after probably Blake ran away. Shit's going on outside, and they're like, what the fuck? So they're clearly in a search for Blake after she ran away. She knows information about their plans, and she obviously escaped. So now with her new maiden power, she destroyed them, and she's using violence instead of verbal persuasion. And now we cut to modern time, or what happened in the last episode. So this is just a little recap. It was such a bullshit act. Well, yeah, obviously they saw her attack him, so they don't know about those semblances. And there's Cinder disguising as a nurse, convincingly. They're flying away from the tournament. So I don't know what the second mind she was influencing is. I know she was influencing Yang, and then there's Neo. So Neo has black hair now, I guess, unless it's part of her illusionary tactics. And now they're obviously in the news now. This guy, that acting, that 10 out of 10 acting, and now we know that the Grimm were obviously triggered by the fear and shock caused by Yang's attack, and he's repairing his automail, Edward Elric fashion. Automail, Crow played by Vic Mignogna. Full Knuckles Brotherhood sequel confirmed. The end being is that the end of the plan or the end of this phase of the plan? Like, well, I think there's no after credit scene, so I mean, I guess I'm gonna continue talking. This was a game-changing episode for RWBY. This changed the entire show as we know it. Just like I said the last episode, and this is my favorite episode of the show thus far. No, I'd say the last episode is still my favorite episode of the show. I love the background. I loved how they did a flashback episode. I feel like this was a perfect time after a little bit of hiatus to return to the season with sort of a flashback kind of thing, explain the background of how she got the main power, confirming it was her, not Neo, that got the main power. And also just showing their past and how they were recruited. I like to see Cinder's past, and I can't wait to figure out who's behind it all, because this proves that who's behind it all. This explains the orb from all the openings, and explains that she's probably working with or for the person who created the Grimm in the first place. So, because the Grimm just randomly appeared one day to attack humans, like there was no explanation. So, this does a little bit of tips to some elements of the Lord Grimm theory, but I don't believe that the Lord Grimm theory is completely accurate at all. I feel like some elements might be true. I don't feel like it's going to be like a solid word, just exact word for word theory. But anyway, if you haven't seen the Lord Grimm theory, I would check out Jake One Man Man's video on it. He'll link you to another video in his video on it, and that will pretty much both of those videos will fill you in on that fabulous theory. But overall, this episode was mind blowing. I mean, seeing everyone in the past and seeing everything that built up to it and learning a lot more about the characters just via this past flashbacks was insane. It was just such a treat to see, and I hope there's a new episode next week. I hope they don't take another hiatus, because this was insane. They're not finished Valentine's Day weekend. There probably has to be another episode this week. But this season, they released a disclaimer before this episode explaining that this season would be much darker than the rest of the season would be much darker than what they're used to. So if you're a young kid, viewer discretion is advised. And this episode did not disappoint in that department. This is the darkest episode of RWBY yet. Like, RWBY has always been a action has always been action comedy fantasy side. Well, I'm gonna give it an action fantasy. I mean, I can't my words. A comedy fantasy. That's what I define RWBY as, a comedy fantasy. And this season has, I mean, up until this, like the last two episodes, this season had some great comedy, great solid comedy. But I feel like this season is definitely the season of the dark fantasy, and there's a lot more drama than we're used to in RWBY. And I mean, I love it. I love the comedy in RWBY, but honestly, the core of RWBY is the characters and learning much more about the characters and all these like their backgrounds and what's going on. And if you believe it, we didn't actually learn quite that much that we didn't know already. We know she had to recruit Mercury somehow. We know she had to recruit Emerald somehow, and we know she assaulted the Fall Maiden and took half of her power. And but they showed by showing it, they showed so much more. And they should recruit Adam somehow, but by showing it, they showed so much more. And this was a perfect example of showing, not telling in storytelling, because they did not explain anything. There was no just verbal exposition in this episode. It was all just um, complete showing, and we had to put the puzzle pieces together. Like when she used that power, they didn't explain who she's working for, what it is, what exactly it does. By viewing it, the viewer can come to a conclusion that this is what's happening, and it's a textbook example of flawless showing, not telling. And I do believe telling works in some cases, but RWBY, show. Telling, we could save telling for later. The last episode was a perfect example about how telling worked, but I feel like showing worked much better than the telling did in the last episode. And I mean, I don't know what to say. As a fan of just fiction and storytelling in general, this was a 10 out of 10 episode. So can't wait for next week. It's going to be amazing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm actually going back to Gainesville tomorrow. This was a nice little break. So because I'm going to be back there, I am not going to be able to record videos like this as often at all. So expect more written content in the near future. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.